Hey everyone, welcome back. I know it's been quite a bit, though today we're going to be looking into the world of Dragon Ball. Yet, this time around, we aren't focusing on the epic forms, characters, or anything of the likes. Today, we will be discussing something no one ever really thinks or talks about: the political landscape of the Dragon Ball universe, mind you, the Dragon Ball universe's Earth specifically. I know. I can hear your excitement just teeming through me, and I hear some groans too. Though, this is what I do. I'm a world examiner, and it's my job to examine this world much further. In today's video, I'm going to be determining what kind of world government actually operates on Earth in Dragon Ball to the very best of my known ability. So, let's talk politics. Now, first off, let us dive into the information we already have about the Earth's government in Dragon Ball. We know it has a king, King Furry, which automatically makes it a monarchy, as it has a monarch. King Furry, however, is of a dynasty and is the king of Earth itself and not a singular country, which makes this way easier. However, it also upgrades our monarchy into what is known as a global monarchy. Right out of the gate, we have global monarchy. Now wait. Don't leave. Do not leave. We're not fully done. Now, while in theory King Furry could be a tyrant with absolute global power, and we could end it at a despotic global monarchy, he's actually depicted as being a benevolent, hands-off leader. Seemingly, King Furry only ever exercises his power absolutely in times of major crisis to prevent his denizens' demise or the loss of general life on a global scale. Now, unlike your typical absolute monarchies of our world's past, there is yet more unique implications in this dragon world. That, of course, being that the local government seems to manage the day-to-day affairs and operations. This now implies it's not just a global monarchy or a global absolute monarchy, but possibly a constitutional one. Now, with a constitutional monarchy would be one of the monarch has limited and balanced powers due to having a constitution in place or a similar doctrine. Now, this would of course let King Furry be the figurehead, while regional elected officials and the smaller governments on Earth handle their local affairs and policies, of course under his rule. Yet, let's dive a little deeper, because a constitutional global monarchy just doesn't feel like the end yet. So, we have just deduced down what kind of government it likely is, yet what of its policies, which will help us further define it? Well, you may be or may not be surprised to find out it's actually full of libertarian elements. Its most striking feature is just how much personal freedom people and corporations have. Look at our heroes that we've all come to love, of course. Bulma is the heiress to Capsule Corporation, a major corporation which also makes some questionable stuff. Yamcha, a once notorious desert bandit, yet he runs free even though people ignore his criminal past. Goku and Vegeta are two literal invaders sent here to conquer or reclaim something or take something. Yet, they're also illegal immigrants who are allowed to stay on Earth without any intervention. Of course, with the later two, going as far to take matters of planetary safety into their own hands with little to no real government intervention nor permission. Yet, there are some downsides to this mass amount of freedom, these problems are also in the limited freedom societies. You can't avoid them. But the unregulated culture often leads to various criminals rising up and even empowering them to take hostages. Look at Monster Carrot. A rabbit monster once took over a desert village with his crew up until Goku stopped him as a kid. Pilaf exists claiming he wants to become the emperor of the earth and is a threat to the nation as he wishes to usurp the king. Yet, the king does nothing and he's allowed to exist. Of course, the Red Ribbon Army has robbed, murdered, and even ran human experiments, all while maintaining a sovereign air force, navy, and an army. Yet, the World Army was never called in to stop them, investigate them, or anything. This is due to the fact the local governments are expected to handle their affairs without direct support from the king himself. Now, additionally, the economy is heavily implied to be driven solely by the private industries. Companies like capsule corporations thrive with vast leaps in innovation due to an implied lack of regulation. Building shrink devices that can turn anything, houses, food, anything, into a small capsule. And then you have stuff like time machines, shrink devices, and even more depending on the timeline you're in. Due to this deep freedom of innovative society without any real oversight or regulation, their society reaps massive benefits due to their technological advancements. Yet, this is mainly due to the benevolent nature of the Briefs family as the number one in the world corporation as a whole. Because in this scenario, they could do so much evil if they wanted to, yet they choose not to. Now, all of this leads me to believe that in this world, they deal in a capitalistic principles which align heavily with right libertarian messages, especially with the ideal focus on personal and economic freedom away from a federal or controlling head government. Sorry, I'm sick. And they deal with a lot of personal and economic freedom, of course, I just said that, leading to a more ideal society in this case. Now, wait, don't run, don't turn off just yet. We still have more to discuss. While the society itself is heavily libertarian, as it is implied, it isn't completely libertarian in every single aspect. This isn't some kind of libertarian utopia version of Earth, after all. What we're taking in as constitutional king can assume absolute power whenever he seems to please, yet usually it's only shown in times of dire need. King Furry usually breaks these powers out in the extremest of cases, like global threats. Unlike the Red Ribbon Army in its heyday, we're talking about stuff more like Cell, King Piccolo. Now, this really is a strange case because, like I said, he can assume this power and have complete control of an entire planet, yet he doesn't. It's only really seen, and first really seen, when the Demon King Piccolo attacked, and King Furry immediately raised Earth's army to take swift and decisive action against the threat, showing us that while he often takes a backseat to his world, he still has authority. He has a lot of it, and also has the entire global military to back his rule. We see this most noticeably in the Cell Saga once again when he sends the World Army to its death. Now, having this level of authoritarian crisis response blending with the day-to-day libertarian values truly makes this version of Earth a unique situation. Having a world which embraces freedom and only in times of certain crisis and dangers relinquishes it faithfully to the much larger ruling body with full trust that after the threat is dealt with and everything can go back to normal, the ruling body will once again return the power to the smaller governments and thus the people instead of retaining it and maintaining a full control. So, where would the Dragon World's Earth government fall on a political compass? Well, of course, it's automatically going to fall into the authoritarian top and far right because it is a monarchy for sure. This, of course, is where it will default to. Yet, due to the minimal king's rule and the larger government lack of interference in the daily life of the people in the common regional governments, along with the heavy support for capitalism, pulls it further right and lower towards the libertarian right side of things. In layman's terms, this Earth can be viewed as an authoritarian, leaning right libertarian society having a global monarchy ensuring the stability and protection of the people and which they enjoy with a high degree of personal and economic freedoms, as well as letting the smaller, less restrictive local governments and regional governments decide what's best for their citizens in their local areas. Now, you might be like, okay, why do you keep bringing this up? And when are you going to put a label on this? Well, let me put a label on it right now. This makes the Dragon World Earth a what we're going to call a crisis responsive libertarian global constitutional monarchy. It's a mouthful. We can probably just shorten it down to crisis responsive libertarian monarchy as well. And that's what it is, in my humble opinion, from everything I've researched, delved into, everything I've consulted leads me to labeling it as such. So, you made it to the end, have you? Congrats on making it this far. And now you must be wondering, why does this even matter? Why did I make this video specifically, especially after a decisive election in the US? Well, I feel that understanding and exploring this adds a greater depth to the world, which many of our favorite heroes reside in. Also, it shows us in a world full of aliens, androids, gods, and demons that there are aspects that mirror our real-world political systems, as well as unique and unexplored concepts. This world's special blend of a constitutional global monarchy, which is both libertarian in almost all aspects, and then authoritarian during crises and when they occur, then it adheres to right-leaning libertarian principles again, shows us a society which is not only functional, but adaptable, and resilient as well, as reflective of the themes we can recognize in our own reality. So, tell me, what is your opinion on this matter? Do you agree with my assessment and my label of this world's political systems? Or do you disagree and think I'm totally wrong? Comment your thoughts and your theories down below. Let's discuss it. Now, until next time, I'm Protector Cross, and this is Cross signing off. Have a good day, a good night, and a good life.